Clemson is losing another assistant coach? It can't be. We'll talk about it. Before we get into it, make sure you like this video and you subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all of our exclusive Clemson content we put out every single week. All right, Tiger fans, if you haven't heard, this is exclusive breaking news for you, but I'm assuming you've already heard that Todd Bates is moving on from Clemson University and now following Brent Venables to be the co-defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Why did he make this decision? What about the gentleman's agreement? What about recruiting? Who will Clemson look at next? We'll talk about those four things right here, right now. And don't forget to get in the comments and let me know what you think as well. So, Todd Bates, we originally thought that everything was okay. Everything kind of had calmed down after the storms of losing the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in Tony Elliott and Brent Venables. Now everything's kind of smoothed out. They took a couple of assistant coaches with them. Everything was, graduate assistants or player assistants, right? Everything kind of calmed down. And then all of a sudden now we're hearing today that Todd Bates, the defensive line coach, is going to move to Brent Venables' staff at Oklahoma and be the co-defensive coordinator with Ted Roof, another analyst that was with Clemson. So, is this a big deal? Why did Todd Bates do this? Well, my first thought is we thought he had accepted an assistant head coach role, which would be replacing Tony Elliott, which is what Tony Elliott was, along with offensive coordinator. So he would be the defensive line coach and the assistant head coach, further grooming him to be a head coach one day. Dabo Swinney mentioned many times he feels like Todd Bates is a head coach in the making, just needs his opportunity. Todd himself has been seen on social media as somebody who's a rah-rah guy, cheerleader, constantly coming up with really cool leadership acronyms and work acronyms. And I feel like he is a charismatic leader in that staff, on that team, in that staff, and for the program. It is going to be one that hurts Clemson University and the Tiger football staff because he is obviously someone who's a vocal leader on the staff and on the team. So, why would he do this? Well, he just recently got that position. We thought he accepted. He went from making $515,000 a year to $715,000. So $200,000 raise there for him. What my thoughts are is that maybe he used that as ammunition or help to get a promotion at Oklahoma. He said, hey, this is what Clemson has offered me. This is what Dabo Swinney has offered me. Brent, I want to be a defensive coordinator. Is there something that you could offer me? Brent said, hey, I can give you the co-defensive coordinator position, give you some ability to start calling plays, which is something he hadn't done before, or at least on Clemson's staff he hadn't done. So maybe he's getting, we don't know how much money he's getting, but maybe he's getting a little bit more money, or even if he's not getting a little bit more money, he is getting that opportunity to call plays or at least help with calling plays. And that could be very important to him to make his next step in his career. So it's not really shocking to me that he makes that next step and goes towards being a coordinator if that's something that he wants to be in the future. It is a little bit shocking to me with the timing now that we thought everything had calmed down, and we know that Todd Bates and Brent Venables are both really good friends with Dabo Swinney, so I can't imagine that Dabo was completely in the dark about all this, but we will find out more details as we go. So the first thing is, why did he do it? I think it's because he wanted opportunity to be able to call plays. At least that's what my assumption is. Now, what about recruiting? That's the second question I have. Well, really, to be honest with you, he hasn't done that great this year in recruiting. I think Clemson has missed on 19 defensive line recruits so far. I wouldn't say completely missed, but they haven't had any commitments, and they've offered 19 plus defensive linemen. That is a concerning number because Clemson has been known as defensive line university in my eyes. For them to struggle getting any kind of traction in defensive linemen this year was a concern, especially with the fact that he is a recruiting coordinator for Clemson. What's going on with the recruiting? There's a low recruiting class this year, even before the coaching changes. There's complete misses on the defensive line when you know you need them. So I don't know what's going on there. It's just a concern there with his consistency, at least this year. Now, if you look back previous years, last year he landed Peyton Page. The year before that was one of their best years ever, where he wasn't really attributed to Brian Bresee, but he was attributed to DeMonte Capehart and Trey Williams. So he landed that big group, or helped land that big group. And then the year before that, he had the stud Tyler Davis that was kind of under the radar, that he got in and was attributed to landing him in his commitment. So he has had a track record of success at defensive line, but except for this year, there's been a big struggle with the staff and the recruiting. They've been losing out a lot to other Southern schools, and so it's not really leaving on a good note as far as recruiting goes. Clemson's going to have to make up some ground maybe in 2023 because of the lack of commitments in 2022. So we talked about why would he do it. We talked about recruiting, right? And we talked about who's going to replace him, right? So the biggest name that's out there is one that might not be as likely, but is somebody that's known in the Clemson universe, and that is Nick Eason. He's a former Clemson player, an all ACC guy, and he is a former NFL player. I think he played over 10 years or right at 10 years in the NFL. He's coached in the NFL at a high level, many different teams. He's coached guys like Geno Atkins at Cincinnati, and he just recently, as January 2021, took the defensive line coach position at Auburn. So would he be willing to, after just one season, leave and come to Clemson and be a part of a university that he was a part of as a player, and be a part of Clemson or Dabo Swinney's staff? It's hard to say. I don't know if that would be possible or not. I think, again, it's all about the money, and if it's what he wants to do to come back to Clemson. So we will see. We'll keep our pulse in on it and see what happens. We'll keep our ear to the ground, as they say, because this is one where it was a shock to Clemson fans. I think it was a shock to most people out there, because kind of felt like everything had calmed down and Clemson was focused on recruiting to that February, the first Wednesday in February signing day period. This is yet another distraction leading to that. And so how is Dabo Swinney going to handle that? I really don't see a defensive lineman that could just step in and immediately replace him, or a GA or a coach that's currently on staff. I haven't looked deeply, but I think, you would think like Miguel Chavis would have been that guy, but now he's also with Brent Venables as well. So if you're going to look internally, I'm not really seeing a guy unless I'm missing it. Let me know in the comments. Externally, obviously, they have Nick Eason and maybe some others out there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who could Clemson go after? Is this as shocking to you as it was maybe to me? Or maybe you saw this as well as writing on the wall. But again, I think if anybody is out there super shocked about it, I think take a step back and look and see if this is what Todd Bates wanted to do, to actually get involved in calling plays. He had to make that move. He saw that two other guys, Mickey Kahn and Wes Goodwin, kind of took that spot that he might have wanted. And, I think you have to do what's best for you in that situation. Now, did he let Dabo Swinney know about it? I don't know. We'll find out more details as the day goes on. But let me know in the comments what you think. And don't forget to hit the like button so other people can see this video.